Hi, welcome back to my channel. Old background is back. Let me know in the comments if you missed it. But I thought I'll film in front of this because I'll be talking about reading today, and a form of reading that a lot of people look down upon or might not understand how to actually accept it into their life or understand it, and that is audiobooks. I'm just gonna lay it out and say it straight away. Audiobooks is a valid reading. Absolutely 100%. No matter if it's a short book, non-fiction book, fiction book, anything, as long as you are taking in the story, you are reading. Any form of reading should be considered reading. So let me tell you a little bit about my background with audiobooks. I used to be one of those people who would say, oh, I will never listen to an audiobook. I won't get anything out of it. I don't know how to pay attention for that long and actually focus and understand what's happening in a book. I need to see physically the words and you turn the pages. In 2019, it was beginning of the year, I think January the 4th, and I thought I really want to push myself to read more books this year. I was reading around, like 30 to 50 books, and I was like, okay, but I can do better. And I decided to listen to a book, very short book. I did a little search on YouTube, and actually there are quite a few books that are classics that are uploaded to YouTube, but you can listen to them for free. So I thought, never a better time. So I've never actually read The Animal Farm. And I thought, why not? Let me give it a try. Was it the best choice? I'm not sure, but I was really inspired by Ariel Bissett. She read the first chapter, a couple of chapters of Animal Farm on her channel. I'll leave the link up here. And I was just like, oh my goodness, I actually quite enjoy listening to someone read something to me. And I thought, okay, because I think we all have experienced that. When we were children, parents would read to us. So why not try it again, but just being read to by the author or a paid person who recorded that audiobook. So I listened to Animal Farm on YouTube. It was a 6-hour audiobook. I didn't know back then how to even change the speed, so I listened to it one speed, and I really, really enjoyed it. I thought it was a brilliant little book. I feel like I need to reread it again, not because, and here it comes in, the comprehension. I took in as much as I could, and I really, really tried to pay attention. I was doing other things while I was listening to it, but I am sure that I maybe missed a couple of hints and bits here and there. But I'll tell you something that the audiobooks have taught me in a second. So since picking up my first audiobook in January 2019, I have so far read 46 books in audiobook format. That is almost 40% of my reading done through listening to the books. It is quite fascinating, and I have to say, especially recently, I think I've mentioned it as well, during lockdown, during this whole pandemic thing, I really didn't feel settled enough to sit down and read, so I would listen to audiobooks. And that was so much fun, and you could just get through an audiobook so much quicker because you're doubling up on the things you're doing. You could be listening, but also you could be cleaning, you could be cooking, you could be doing something else that doesn't require your brain to actually focus and make sure that you're doing the right thing, because a lot of things are on autopilot these days. I can clean my cooker and not even think twice about it. But at the same time, I could be listening to a book and actually pick up everything from that. And especially, I find audiobooks really worked for me when I was commuting. So I had a 3-hour commute every day for like a year and a half, and they really helped me during that time. I could get through a book in like a day or two. And that was pretty impressive because when you're tired coming back from work, you're just, I can't be bothered to cook and then read and then watch a show or hang out with your boyfriend or your partner or your friends. So why not use the time when you're commuting to actually do that? It's so much fun. Audiobooks also, because they have a varied cast sometimes, it's like listening to a podcast or a play. It really adds to your experience, and I've heard quite a few people mention, let's say, Elizabeth Acevedo's books. She narrates them, and they are told in verse, so you can really feel the rhythm of the words that she wrote and she put into her story, and you can really tell when the author reads the book how it was meant to be read. And also, I find reading non-fiction really interesting because you really take it in, and then if you want, you can go back and grab a book and actually underline things. So in the end, you actually might end up reading the book twice or 3 times over because you actually get more out of it like that than if you just read it once kind of got in, kind of not, and just like put it away. There are so many places these days that you can actually get audiobooks, and not for that much money. Personally, I have never actually bought an audiobook. I have always loaned them from my library. So there's an app called Libby, not sponsored, but I really, really love this app. I have used it for the last 2 years. It has been the most amazing experience. So how the Libby works is actually a library app that is connected to all the libraries around you, wherever you are in the world. I think almost anywhere, don't quote me on that, but there's a lot of places that it is accessible in. All you have to do is just have a library card and enter your details, and then you can browse your library and see what titles are available, and then if it's available straight away, you can borrow it for 14 days and listen to it, read it, and then it will get returned. Or if it's a really exciting new title, you can put it on hold, and depending on the large amount of people who want to read it, it can be 2 weeks, 4 weeks, it can be 6 months. But in the end, you'll still get the book and you still get to read it for free. No strings attached, you don't need to keep it, you don't need to worry about it, you don't need to pay anything for it. And that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years. It has been amazing. Yes, I might not have been reading the newest titles coming in, but if you browse the new book page often enough, you could actually jump in and grab yourself a new copy of the book really, really quickly. As not a lot of people, I guess, browse it straight away. I've seen like Mark Lawrence's new books come in and no one had touched them for like a day. And I was like, why are people not reading those books? They're amazing. You can also use Script, I think. I'm not sure it's available in the UK, I think it is. It's really popular in America and Canada. It's a subscription service where you can loan out audiobooks and ebooks. It's about $7.99, $9.99 a month, and you get access to loads of titles, loads of books. Obviously you can use Audible. I am not a big fan of Audible. I don't understand how it actually works and what is the point. Maybe people just like to own audiobooks. I never had an inkling to re-listen to one, but I feel like I just don't understand their credit system. It's a lot of money, so you can have 1 credit a month and you can just read 1 book a month. It just seems like very, very small amount of book to read. So that's why I personally would not recommend it. Obviously, there's a lot of like, you can get a free book when you first sign up, and then when you try to like leave the trial, they're actually like, oh, we'll give you another credit and you get another book for free, but then you still can cancel. So I don't know, it's up to you what you use, but I would recommend Libby. If you have patience, if you're not really fussed, if you're reading physical books alongside audiobooks, then catching up on all the titles is really, really fun. Right now I'm listening to the Fifth Wave series. I'm on book number 2. I'll tell you more about it in my wrap-up. We'll see. I'm also trying to pick up a variety of titles, more contemporary fiction, more crime, more non-fiction, more children's as well. I really try to vary what I read, and whenever something comes up as available, I'm like, oh, I wouldn't mind reading this, and it's such a pleasure. What I also wanted to mention is that you can listen on different speeds, and that is probably my most favorite option. So when I first started listening, I would listen on 1 speed, and that was so slow. I was just like, oh, can we get on with the story? And then I realized that you can change the speed. So I think I went up to like 1.5, 1.75, and that was pretty comfortable. And then after like, I think 20 titles, so in 2019, maybe 15 titles in, I was like, you know what, maybe I can rack up to 2. And I went to double speed, and it changed. It changed my life. I was reading so much quicker. This year, most of the books that I read, out of the 24 I think that I read this year so far, most of them have been listened at least 2.25 to 2.45, 2.5, depending on the narrator. So that also is a really interesting thing. A lot of people find that with audiobooks really difficult, is finding a good narrator. Just don't be that fussy, doesn't really matter. Yes, sometimes it can really take you out of the story when they're not really exciting or the storytelling is not great or they're not play the role well, but at the same time you're just listening for the story, so the voice just carries it. So I think I have read more bad narrators than good ones, but I still will get through the book and most of the time I actually quite enjoy it. So it is really accessible for a lot of people. You can listen on any speed you want. And don't feel pressured to perform to set it, oh, I have to start at 2 speed. No, give yourself some time. Once you get into it, you won't stop listening to audiobooks. It's such a fun medium. It's like listening to a YouTube video, but you're not actually looking at it. It's like a podcast, but you're listening to a story. It is so, so fun. It's another form of reading. It's like ebooks. My friend who has never read ebooks picked up some over lockdown and she said, oh my god, it has changed my life. All you have to do when you read it on your phone or Kindle or whatever, just press a button and the new page appears. I can say that from experience. You read faster when all you have to do is click a button or tap the screen. It moves so quickly. Ebooks, I could probably fly through faster than the physical book, and I don't know why. I remember I read this series, I think by Jessica Sorensen, I think I mentioned in one of the other videos. It's like a Twilight-y kind of paranormal romance. And I kid you not, I flew through the 4 books, which were like around 300 pages in like 4 days. And I was not that quick of a reader back then. I'm actually not that quick of a reader at all, but I think I've trained myself with audiobooks especially. You can train your hearing and comprehension and make sure that you don't miss out on the big details. But also, reading audiobooks has actually shown me that there's a lot of fluff and a lot of just unnecessary stuff in the books. I don't remember which one it was that specifically highlighted to me, like a lot, but in a lot of fiction, you just get a lot of descriptions of places and things and feelings and emotions. Like, most of the time, they do add something to the story, but the rest is just a filler. You end up not paying attention as much because you know that actually doesn't matter. What color were the curtains? What she was eating on the table? How was that thing positioned on that chest of drawers? Doesn't matter. Unless you're reading like a Sherlock Holmes book where every little detail counts and you're like, ooh, trying to figure something out. It really doesn't matter. It really shows you how sometimes authors trying to create this world, this vivid place in your mind, actually overdo it, and your imagination could do it much better. But yes, this is my little love letter to audiobooks. I hope you get a chance to pick up some and get inspired yourself. I will leave Ariel's video in the description so you can also fall in love with listening to audiobooks. Her voice is so mesmerizing as well. I wish when she writes a book, she will also narrate her own stories, so I'm looking forward to that. But also, please, go and explore the world of reading. That's why we're here. That's why we want to promote and share the love of stories. That's why we buy new books. That's why we read so many stories. It's just to be surrounded by them, have them in our lives, and enrich them in one way or the other. So, go and listen to an audiobook. Let me know in the comments if you've already listened to audiobooks or if you're going to pick up any after this video. Give it a like, share, subscribe, do what you feel like, and I see you in my next one. Bye!